Для меня немножко проще рассказывать этот доклад на английском, поэтому я, пожалуй, на английском расскажу. So, my name is Arsenii. Today I'm going to introduce my experience of receiving the grant. So my pitch will be about how to raise a grant and without pain and fear and problems and avoid any underwater stones and all the stuff. So about me, I'm already 8 years in IT industry itself and in crypto industry since 2018. I serial CEO and CTO in different startups nowadays. I'm working on two projects. It's a Do NFT, it's a protocol for bundling NFTs, and Freeline, it's a tax declaration service of your crypto assets in Germany and United States. I'm alumni of Alchemist Accelerator. If somebody knows about this program, for the last year I won more than 14 hackathons and received and earned more than 10 grants. Five of these grants are received by my own projects and 5 for other projects. So I have a little bit experience about this process. So what's the grants nowadays for Web3 industry? Nowadays, more than 150 grant programs. They provide the grants from the $5,000 and finish approximately $150,000 for each project for each project. And this year it's a little bit outdated data, but it was founded more than 300 projects and from 50 countries. And don't fear about your.
Can you stand, please? I'm sorry. Can you stand here because you're covering part of the screen and we cannot see.
Okay.
Maybe
in any case, I cover the parts of the.
Or no, maybe there it would. If you just move closer to the wall.
Okay, don't worry. So and don't be afraid to applying to grants with your red passport from Russian Federation, because I also owner of the Russian passport, and I received grants with little bit more little bit longer process, but without problems itself. So let's start from the how looks grant process as an applier. First of all, you need to search grant to find the right program which you want to apply it. Then creating request. Usually you grant requirements. In grant requirements, you can find the point about open source of your project. So you need to decide how to split your project open source part and the payment part to don't spoil your business model and other spices in your project, and don't be spoiled by other team with bad founding. Then reviewing, signing documents, surprise working on this grant to get the money, and submit results and getting money, because at the beginning of this year, usually grantee provides you money before you start working on the grants. But nowadays, grant program are going in the more traditional way, like in Web 2 or science industry. When you work you made some work and then you receive the money of the results of your work. It was appear because a lot of projects at the beginning of this year, when the market will be a little bit better, they receive the grants and then just disappeared. So and also grant teams of the different projects are learning from this point and start understanding something in this life. So let's start from the search. It's also not very easy to find the grant, because if you work in Web3 industry, you know that if you just search in the Google, you didn't find the project which you're trying to find, because not most part of the Web3 project don't spend the money on the SEO optimization or all related stuff. Exactly the same problem with the grant program. If you put the Web3 grants First 3 pages will be about some kind of aggregator Web3 grants with approximately 20 programs, or it will be articles in magazines, online magazines, and usually not the Web3 focused. So I'm going the next way. First of all, I grab information about the companies who have the sponsorship in different Web3 conferences. I go into these websites and try to find the grant page on this site, and usually they provide this page. Then when I attend to the hackathon and conferences, I go into the company and ask about the grants, and usually they share links, or they provide me documents about the grant program and write a mail where you should send the grant request. Here is a grant list which I collected with Cyber Academy a few months ago. I think in a few weeks I will launch independent website with I hope the live process of the grant live programs which you can. Then I use Google. So on the 5th page I start finding something correct, but still use more advanced search. But I think if you are in IT industry and Web3 industry, you definitely have acknowledge how to write Google something in this world. Then I also use Telegram groups, but it's not very common. I just saw in Telegram groups of the Web3 developers grants announcing of the grants just 2 or 3 times per the last year. So it's not common stuff, but sometimes you can ask about the sharing information, because if somebody asks me about grant program in the chats, in Web3 JDS Hub or in Basel blog or in Cyber Academy, I usually share this link. And also networking. So when you meet your colleagues on different conferences, different parties, you also share the acknowledge like I do it right now.
Oh. You try to go
No. So the next step is creating request. So it's not also when I help to applying to grant for different projects. It also was more work about working with mindset of the teams, not filling the forms. So
this is a very valuable list.
Yeah.
Basic.
Yeah, so first of all, the grant requests could be provided in different forms. You should be ready to fill Google Forms or Airtable forms or pull request for some GitHub account. It also was surprise for some guys who already have idea and want to apply to grants, but they are not developers. It's very hard to create the pull request for GitHub. Just of all because they haven't account on GitHub and don't understand what the pull request is, how it looks like. And the most difficult is creating email in free form. For developer is the most challengeable way how to apply to the grant. Because developers usually think in some patterns, and when they haven't patterns, they have a problem about this. So typical questions on the grant request is a description. First of all, what you're trying to build and why you need the funding for this. Problem which you're trying to solve, value which you provided by solving this problem, deliverables, so with some kind of forms and code presentation, or what you develop, you going to in which form you going to deliver it to community or the grant giver. Then the roadmap, it's describe how you're going to reach the goals which you describe in deliverables. Then budget, which what's the exactly amount of funds you want to cover this problem, and according to the roadmap, team which will be you attract or you already have, which are going to implement this idea according to roadmap. Then maintenances. It's more like artifacts which you are going to provide. Competitors, if somebody already trying to solve the same problem, why you should you should know that you already know these competitors, and you should show why you will be better or more successful, or something like this. And the sponsor is usually a guy inside the grant given company, which could be like your mentor or something like this. And you should have a patient, because sometimes company trying to receive the grant when they have a funding problem, and they think that the grant program is take few days. No, usually it's took from one week and according to 3 months. So it's not very fast process. You should be ready for this. And also I also have experience of advising some projects who have received negative answer on the grant request, and they start bullying grantees. Why you don't want to give me a grant with so amazing project on the sub? Don't do this, please.
No, so I thought they gave them the grant.
No, they don't.
Okay. Okay.
So the next step when
By the way, in this room we have actually my sister. She received the grant from even Google straight away, so you can also ask her how she did it.
Oh yeah, it's also not so difficult.
Yeah.
Because they have the big company usually have a very clear and standardized process, which you can see on some kind of dashboard. So it's much easier to apply to grant to big project, big company. So when you are applying to the grant, somebody review your somebody view your request, and some checks doing under the ground during the process, and then they schedule usually a meeting with you about the understand how you adequate according to the previous example. Is it a real is a real team who going to solve this problem or something like this? So, and the reviewing usually could be divided to the next steps. Eligibility checks. So it's they ask you to provide some documents. For example, if you're not from the sanctioned countries. Most of foundations are registered in United Kingdom, Switzerland, or Singapore, something like this. Who provide and usually they haven't any problem with Russian passport. But for example, if it's in French or in Finland, if you if you know about news from the last Slash competition, then they was cancel the winner with Russian passport. Then going to pre-scoring checks, they check that is this problem really important for this ecosystem or granting? Is it technically is it possible to technically realize this project, and is it according to roadmap? Because sometimes somebody applying to grants, but in-house already somebody works on the same problem. So for this reason they usually don't provide the grant. Then it's going into interview. On the interview you should pitch one more time and answer on additional questions, and it's a good point to add answers on these questions to your grant request as the next to the next request, for example. Business review, it's they check is it the funds which your request is it enough to implementation, or is bigger than enough according to the team which you receive. But and usually also they check business model, because nobody wants to provide you grants to create the situation when somebody creates some solution important to ecosystem, and they didn't find revenue, they didn't create the revenue stream, and they should pay grants for support these ecosystem tools. Nobody wants to do this. And technical review is again according to is it is it possible to realize this or not. Then signing documents. It's also sometimes difficult because a lot of teams afraid and or not haven't legal experience at all. They receive the grant agreement and they think, okay, we can do anything, we can change anything, but they thinking in the wrong way. In the most grant agreement, I ask about the changing some point, and usually a grantee provides us fixed grant agreement with changing points which we ask if it's logically and not or it's not a problem with legal part. Also, it's also good to have your own legal stuff, which you can provide these legal agreements to understand any underwater stones to avoid any problems in the future. And as I said before, for the most grant program, you should divide your project from the open source part and the payment and the proprietary part. For this reason, a good lawyer on your side can help to correct formulating in the legal documents. Be ready to have legal entity or bank account in some countries who are not close to Russia or some other sanctioned countries, because not all the companies provide grants on to you as a physical. Some grants are providing only for legal entity. For this reason, you should go not through KYC process, you should go through KYB process to provide legal entity documents and all this stuff. And be ready to fill the forms, KYC, KYB, or in my case with Filecoin. Filecoin is an American company. I need to fill the AA or AA9 form to avoid the double taxes for receiving the grant.
Just quickly before we go on, I have a question. Like, which kind of grants are we talking about? Like mostly, like just an example. Can you give an example?
For example, for Filecoin.
Like, are they like purely technical, or like do you have also like?
It doesn't matter because usually the grant program divided on four types: technical, some kind of social goods, or ecosystem growth, marketing activity, or something like this. Education. Yeah. So usually the legal stuff of these agreements are the same. Only appendix are changing. So in appendix you write exactly what you're going to do. Are you going to organize some hackathon? Are you going to create some courses? Are you going to onboard?
Turn off the video, please. Who's watching the video? What?
It's cool.
Yeah, just turn off. Thanks.
So it's legal stuff approximately the same. The difference only in the work you are going to do.
All right, okay. So I mean, like even like if people are not like real developers, they can still apply for the
Of
grants,
course,
right?
there is a lot of educational and marketing grants. If you're going to organize some hackathons, for example, Ethereum Foundation provides the grants for organizing hackathons or some legal stuff.
So, for example, in this co-working, we can apply for the grant for organizing a hackathon.
Yeah, you can. Definitely. For example, NIR, at the beginning of the year, have a program of the NIR hubs. If you're going to organize some kind of flight space for working, or exactly for NIR developers, they can receive you some amount. But I don't know, is it the program working right now or not?
Yeah, we need to apply to all kinds of programs.
So it's about work, one of the most important part. I want to highlight that the grant is not only about the money. It's the most important value from the grant you can receive by the asking the introduction for the important for your companies or guys or something like this, because you're already on board of the company who provide you a grant are interested in the growing you as a business, because you will be more as more success you as a grant taker, as a more more useful stuff you provide to grant giver company, because you work together, it's some kind of synergy. So first of all, be proactive. So nobody, in most cases, companies haven't very small grant department, and nobody check you before you ask about the help, about the.
It really happens to me really often.
Yeah.
Gas fee, my balance.
So don't afraid to ask any help. Don't afraid to ask any introduction. Don't afraid to ask any questions. You should be proactive, because you are more interesting in this help than the company who provides you a grant. Because the guys from the grant department have too many works. They overloaded totally. So from my experience, don't worry about the out of roadmap. Just be clean in the process. To provide some milestones, provide some progress, provide some program information. If you will be clean, nobody will punish you according to grant agreement stuff, because you have a proof that you provide this information to the grant giver, something like this. Because nobody wants to go to the court against this. $50,000 from you, because the company have more difficult for going to court by reputation than from the wasting justice for $50,000. So don't be proactive, as I said. Yes. Submitting results. Usually, submitting results is going according to roadmap, so according to milestones which you are scheduled by yourself in your grant request. So schedule review, prepare artifacts. So usually artifacts include your repositories, documentation, video demo, pitch decks. Pitch decks help you to describe your idea in most effective and clean way, because most of developers very easy to describe what they do, and the pitch deck very helpful in this stuff. Video demo ensure you from the internet program any bugs during the demonstration. Use video demo, please. And after review, just ask feedback and be patient. So it's not so difficult, because a company who give you a grant, they usually expect the results. They don't want to don't pay you money. They expect the results. They want the results. They want to help you with the results. So, and getting money is also not easy stuff, because you should fill the forms. You should have right accounts. You should be ready to receive the grants. Make everything possible to provide your money as easy as possible. Sometimes it's request filling the form. Sometimes it's request the making invoices. Some companies are not ready to create invoices because they haven't form for this, or don't understand what's the invoice and how this looks like, and something like this will be ready. And then wait. For example, usually receiving money from Filecoin taking approximately 1 month after the passing the review. And what's the next? First of all, you can apply to the next grant. This first one was not enough. Going to fundraising, and if you was proactive and smart enough, you make the right connection. You get the traction and all that stuff. It will be enough to start fundraising, because you already have some traction in receiving the grant. So you will little bit less bullshits when you have a grant from some big companies. And or you can go just next, or you can just switch to the next projects. But it's not the good variant, but maybe it's okay for you if you're working on some tooling stuff. So that's all what I want to tell you about the grants. So one more time the list about grants, my contacts if you have any questions. So any questions so far?
Ну, скажем, как долго компании вообще живут на грантах, если компании, которые профессионально живут?
Слушай, есть компании, которые полностью живут на грантах. Я знаю таких немного, но они в основном такие ресерчеры, то есть, условно говоря, они проводят очень глубокие технологии, типа новый алгоритм консенсуса для какого-то для какого-то...
Близко к научному, который там...
Да, то есть они, с одной стороны, они пилят что-то научное, с другой стороны, они пилят что-то сильно инфраструктурное, с третьей стороны, они пилят какие-то пропозалы или технические демки или что-то такое. То есть есть такие компании, но это нужно прямо иметь репутацию. То есть есть максимально близкий аналог, это research департаменты или крупных компаний, корпораций. То есть, по сути, это то же самое. Да, то есть мы вот, получается, на грантах, зависит от burn rate, все зависит от burn rate, как вы его рассчитали. То есть есть команды, которые там на грант, стольник получает, и 3 месяца на нем живут, и все, и дальше болты.
Скажем так, какой процент вообще успеха? Выдали грант, получили MVP?
Никто не знает.
Не сводил?
Я не сводил, потому что, во-первых, не все публикуют, кому дали грант, то есть можно проследить его по Filecoin, например. Filecoin, например, уже год не опубликовал, кому не выдавали гранты. То есть мы, например, не можем доказать, кроме как показать грант agreement, что Filecoin нам дал гранты. При этом OneInch опубликовал сразу, что он выдал нам грант. А, например, Harmony опубликовали, что выдали нам гранты, а денег не дали.
Вообще, слушай, скажи, то есть правильно понимаю, что один тоже, грубо говоря, в момент развития стартапа ты можешь приходить там, не знаю, в 3-5 фаундейшенов и забирать сразу грант?
Потенциально ты это можешь делать, вопрос конфликта интересов. Главное, то есть надо читать грант-агрименты. То есть теоретически так можно делать, если ты это все сможешь сменеджить. Обычно, то есть, как написать успешную заявку для гранта, то, что я не рассказал на английском, нужно в грант-агрименте написать, как ты поможешь экосистеме вырасти, которая дает тебе грант. Тогда тебе дадут денег. То есть, ты можешь пойти к 5 Foundation. Например, стандартная история, все пытаются сделать как? Пойти в Ethereum Foundation, Polygon, Avalanche, Optimist, все в EVM. Solana, не EVM. Конечно, просто идея в том, что ты пишешь код один раз, а потом деплоишься на разные чейны и пытаешься со всех собрать гранты. Но так не работает.
Не он поможет, может быть.
Не будем о грустном давать. А то меня Костя опять заругает, что я плохое говорю про него. Да.
Например, тоже в Bitcoin есть разные грейды грантов, то есть после которого идет 5000, есть open грант, есть
да, там есть...
Как ты выбираешь, куда подаваться?
Там написано требования, то есть open грант это типа маленький, чтобы просто запуститься, они дают там 5, условно говоря.
Next step.
Ну да. Open грант дают до 100 тысяч.
Как ты выбираешь?
Там есть критерии, ты просто
Ребята, я очень извиняюсь, но нужно сделать паузу, там сварить пельмени, как бы, надо съесть. Спасибо огромное Арсению.
Давай последний вопрос. Никому не интересно пельмени, все хотят пельмени.
Пельмени важнее.
Возвращаясь к вопросу, там есть список критериев. Все. Там обычно понятно.
Можно пообщаться.